What if I told you retirement doesn't feel like freedom at first? It feels like vanishing. One day you're part of the world, busy, needed, seen, and the next, you're just a name on an old office door. That first morning, I didn't even know what to do with my hands. No shirt to iron, no keys to grab, no reason to check the time. I stood in the kitchen, the coffee pot murmuring quietly, and it hit me. No one was waiting on me anymore. No calls, no questions, no problems that only I could fix. I had prayed for this kind of peace once, but I never realized it would feel so quiet, so hollow. Everyone congratulates you, tells you how lucky you are. You made it. Now you can do whatever you want, but no one prepares you for the ache that follows, the invisible grief, the strange emptiness that creeps in, not all at once, but slowly, like a fog rolling in after sunset. You don't even notice it at first. You sleep in a little longer. You eat breakfast a little slower. And one day you catch yourself staring out the window at 10 a.m., wondering if the mailman already came or if time is just playing tricks on you. I thought I would feel free. Instead, I felt unhooked, like a boat that had drifted too far from the dock and wasn't sure which way was home anymore. Because the truth no one tells you is this: you don't just retire from a job, you retire from routine, from belonging, from being needed. And that, my friend, that is a loss no gold watch can make up for. I kept telling myself it was just an adjustment, a phase. But as the weeks passed, I started to feel invisible. I'd walk into the grocery store and realize no one really saw me anymore. At work, people used to light up when I entered a room. Now I was just another slow-walking man browsing soup cans alone on a Tuesday afternoon. I missed being someone to somebody, the little things. The, hey, can you take a look at this? The, I don't know how you always fix it, but thank you. The purpose. Because when you've spent 40 years waking up to solve problems, to lead, to build, to matter, you can't just turn that off. It doesn't matter how many hobbies you pick up. If deep down, you feel like the world has moved on without you, that's the part no one talks about. The silence, the stillness that isn't peaceful, it's empty. I began to wonder, who am I now that no one needs me? It's not self-pity. It's not about missing a paycheck. It's about missing a place in the world, a rhythm, a reason, a feeling that you're still woven into the fabric of someone else's day. And yet, as hard as those early days were, there was something underneath all that stillness, something I hadn't touched in decades, a part of me that had been buried under years of responsibility, meetings, deadlines, and expectations, a softer voice, a gentler pace, a version of myself I'd almost forgotten. That's the strange gift hidden inside this ache. If you sit with it long enough, if you stop trying to outrun the silence, you start to hear yourself again. Not the version of you the world wanted, but the one that's always been there, waiting. And maybe that's where this next chapter begins, not with answers, but with space, to ask new questions, to breathe, to feel, to simply be. Because even if no one's waiting on you now, maybe it's time you started waiting on yourself. I started walking in the mornings, not to exercise, not to chase a goal, just to move, to remind my body that I was still here. There's a path near my house that curves along the creek, trees on both sides, leaves whispering old secrets, like they'd seen people come and go for 100 years. And some mornings when the sun was just climbing through the branches, I'd see a father teaching his daughter how to ride a bike, or an older couple walking hand in hand, not saying much, just being. And I'd feel something stir in me, like a quiet longing I couldn't name. I didn't miss the job. I missed being part of someone's day. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from not being missed. People think retirement is about rest. And sure, it is. But it's also about reinventing yourself at an age when no one expects you to. Because here's what I've come to believe. We don't stop needing purpose just because we stop getting paychecks. We don't stop craving connection just because our calendars are empty. One afternoon, I saw a boy outside my window trying to fix his bike chain. He looked frustrated, sweaty, almost ready to give up. So I walked outside, just like that in my slippers, and showed him how to loop it back in place. He looked at me with this mix of relief and wonder and said, "Wow, how'd you know that?" And I smiled, because I hadn't realized how long it had been since someone asked me how I knew something. That little moment, grease on my hands, sun in my eyes, it filled a space in me that had been empty for too long. It reminded me that wisdom doesn't retire, and neither does kindness, or patience, or the need to be seen. After that, I started noticing more. The single mom next door, juggling too much at once. The boy down the street who always walks home alone. The mailman who looked exhausted but smiled anyway. And I realized something that changed everything. I didn't need a title to matter. I didn't need a meeting invite or a desk or a deadline. All I needed was to show up with my full self, right here, right now. I began calling old friends I hadn't spoken to in years, not for any reason, just to say, "Hey, I was thinking about you." Some cried, some laughed. Most just said, "Thank you, I needed this today." And so did I. Because the secret no one tells you is that you don't need a big life to feel deeply alive. You just need connection, small ones, honest ones, ones that remind you you're still part of this world. The noise of work might be gone, but beneath that, there's a softer music playing, and it's yours to dance to. Some days will still feel heavy. That's okay. Not every moment needs to be full. Some are just quiet, sacred, empty, in a good way. Like a room waiting to be filled with new laughter, new light. You're not finished, my friend. You're just beginning differently. And even if the world doesn't clap for you anymore, you can still clap for yourself, because it takes courage, real courage, to begin again in a life that no longer has a map. But you're not lost. You're just discovering a new road, one that leads inward. And that might be the most important journey of all. A few weeks ago, I sat with my granddaughter on the porch. She was drawing a picture of a tree, tiny hands, tongue poking out as she concentrated. And out of nowhere, she looked up and said, "Grandpa, what do you do now?" I smiled. It wasn't judgment. It wasn't pity. It was pure curiosity, the kind only a child can carry. I thought for a moment, and I said, "I listen more now. I sit still. I think about things I never had time for before, and I help people when I can, even if they don't know they need it." She looked at me with this wide, wondering smile and said, "That's like a quiet superhero." And maybe that's what we become after the rush, after the career, after the noise dies down. Not less than who we were, but something deeper. The kind of presence that doesn't chase applause, but holds steady, like a lighthouse. You see, retirement didn't take everything from me. It just peeled things away. Layers of identity I thought were permanent. And underneath all that was someone softer, someone slower, someone finally allowed to feel the moments instead of just racing through them. We're told that life is about building, climbing, achieving. But maybe the most sacred part is the coming down, the gentle descent, the place where we no longer need to prove anything, just be. And if you've been feeling that ache, that sense of, what now? I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are still needed. You are still becoming. You are still incredibly, beautifully here. And that matters more than you know. So take walks without purpose. Call someone just to hear their voice. Sit in silence and let your breath remind you. You're alive, still beating, still whole. The world may not ask as much of you now, but that doesn't mean it has stopped loving what you have to give. In fact, it might need it more than ever. Your steadiness, your kindness, your stories, your eyes that have seen so much and still soften at a sunset. So if this video found you in a quiet moment and you felt seen, even just a little, please tap that like button. It tells me you're out there. And if you want more conversations like this, soft and real and made for us, subscribe. We're building a gentle corner of the internet here, together. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What did retirement give you, and what did it quietly take away? Share your story. Someone out there might need your words the same way you might have needed mine. Because we're not done. Not by a long shot. We're just finally learning how to live in a slower, deeper, truer way. And maybe, just maybe, this is the part of life that was waiting for us all along.